The plan to watch list. Every anime watcher has it. The limbo we put shows in that we want to watch, but not right at that moment. And we say that we will get to them, sometime. And so they languish there for weeks, months, years, or in my case, over a decade. Until now. As for this series of videos, I will be taking a look at my plan to watch list, and I will choose one lucky anime to watch by random. And so for these videos, I don't know what I'm getting myself into. Some of these anime might be popular, others relatively unknown. Some of them might turn out to be hidden gems, but others might be the equivalent of a steaming dump in an alleyway. I am Ayn Masora, and this is the Anime Backlog. Welcome to another episode of the Backlog, and man, why do I keep picking shows that make me question why I picked them in the first place for this? Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that this one in particular is bad, but I guess this is what it means to have an avant-garde tag on my anime list. So what is Paranoia Agent? It is a 2004 show made by Studio Madhouse, where a couple of detectives try to track a mysterious criminal named Shonen Bat who's been going around assaulting people. On paper, it sounds like it should be right up my alley. Detective thriller, Madhouse, sign me the fuck up. And then we get halfway into the show and stuff gets weird. We'll get to that. I'll take you through the initial setup of the story first. We get introduced to Tsukiko Sagi, a mascot designer who designed the now very popular mascot, Marumi, this gooby pink little dog creature. But she is being hounded by people to hurry up and make a new mascot design. After all, money has to be made. However, she is stressed and backed into a corner by all of this, and new designs just don't come to her. And it is in this distress that on one evening home she gets attacked by a kid on rollerblades with a baseball bat. The first of many victims by who later gets known as Shonen Bat, and I'm kinda surprised that the subs didn't call him Bat Boy, honestly. The second victim is a man who stalks her for more information, because he is down on his luck and he really needs the money. And he hopes to make some money out of her by getting information of the culprit. After that, two school kids unrelated to either of these people are the next victims, and both have their own struggles. The fifth victim is a lady who is a home teacher for one of the two kids, but she also suffers from multiple personalities and is stuck in a struggle of living two different lives, unbeknownst to her recently wed husband. And the last victim would have been a corrupt cop, who is hiding from his family that their newly built house is actually funded by Yakuza money, and who is in turn hounded by said Yakuza to pay back the borrowed money with interest. So he resorted to robbery. But when Shonen Bat rolls up to deliver his, let's call it mercy, he fails and gets arrested. And so all ends well, right? No, because it was only 5 episodes. And if it would have ended there, it would have been a pretty solid thrill story so far. Sure, we might be missing out on some of the motives, but as I've grown up I've come to realize some things are better left unexplained at times. I'll talk about the second half of the anime in a bit, but let's go over the first half a little bit more. So the red line here, as one of the detectives, Manira, deduces, much to the chagrin of his colleague Ikari, is that all the people that are affected by these crimes are people who are highly stressed, have problems, and need a way to escape from reality. And Shonen Bat delivers them that escape from reality, a scapegoat to blame their woes on, conveniently showing up and whacking them in the head with a metal bat. Okay, a little supernatural, but it makes sense, right? Well, at least until we get to the interrogation episode. Now first, I gotta admit that this episode is creative, as the kid's delusions are being framed as if he was a chosen hero in an RPG fantasy game. It's certainly an interesting stylistic choice. But I do kinda relate to Ikari, who starts to lose it, and gets very tired of humoring his delusions, and just wants to get to the bottom of this case. Stop indulging in his delusions, Manima. Try to get a straight answer out of him. Oh? What's that? No straight answers in the show? Oh. Okay. And then 2 episodes later, the kid gets killed by the actual Shonen Bat, since it turns out he was just a copycat. But then the real Shonen Bat just phases through the walls of the police precinct and disappears, getting Ikari and Manima fired because it happened under their supervision. Oh, so it turns into a supernatural thriller instead. Okay. Except it really doesn't. Kinda. It gets confusing. But just like that, the assaults keep happening, and they escalate, turning into murders. Then the second half of the show rolls around and gives us some seemingly unconnected episodes, episode 8 specifically, and it had me asking why it was even there in the first place. Episode 8 focuses on 3 people, an old man, a middle-aged man, and a young girl meeting up for a... Oh, YouTube is not going to like this, but I'm not a zoomer and I won't self-censor myself, so they plan group suicide. We don't get to learn their reasons why, but they are done with life. You know what? Fair enough, I get it. And so we follow them on a little misadventure, trying various things out and failing, in an episode that's honestly just a dark comedy show. They all want to go, but the 2 older men constantly try to make sure the little girl survives, because they don't agree she should be doing this at her age. But then, in the last minute of the episode, they pose with a group of random girls they pass by to make a picture, and the person that made the picture is mortified of what she sees. Making it rather clear that the 3 have been dead for a long time already, and if you pay close attention during the episode, and I know that I missed out on it, you notice that they don't have any shadows, indicating that they've already been dead for a while. It turns out that one of their attempts did work, and they just have been having fun hunting the countryside for the majority of the episode, having a merry old time. They even come across Sean in bed at some point and beg him to grant their wish, but he's terrified of them and runs away from them, turning this into a very weird Looney Tunes skit. The thing is though, as creative and as well done the episode is, what does it add to anything? This feeling is not helped by the next episode focusing on 4 gossiping women, just talking about random stories involving Sean in bed, which all also turn out to be really comedic in nature. I had to laugh a fair few times when he just showed up out of nowhere in the weirdest of locations. I kinda get that this shows off that Sean in bed as an urban legend has been spreading like wildfire, but in conjunction with the episode before and the episode after it kinda makes this weird 3-episode bundle that doesn't really further the plot of the show whatsoever, and in a 13-episode show I find it a lot of, well, frankly wasted time. We also get an episode revolving around a doomed anime production around the Marumi mascot, where everyone on the team just kinda gets murdered by Sean in bed. And we get an episode for the daughter of the cop who caught him in episode 4, where we learn is getting spied on by either her father or the Yakuza in her own bedroom, driving her to despair, but then Sean in bed's attack renders her an amnesiac. Also, the Yakuza-funded house gets swept away in a landslide thanks to a typhoon that happens, which just kinda adds insult to injury for their family. Yeah, it sucks to be them, I guess. And meanwhile, Ikari is struggling to make ends meet with a new construction job, and his wife gets visited by Sean in bed, as she's chronically ill and dying. I'm not quite sure what sickness ails her and it never gets mentioned, but even in her despair she refuses to give in to Sean in bed's offer of salvation, and decides to fight for her life. Which then just kinda brings us to the conclusion of it all, when Manima realizes that Sean in bed is just a made-up entity, created by the first victim, Tsukiko, 10 years prior. Because she lost her dog that got run over by a car, because she let the leash go, and instead of accepting it was her fault and facing her father's reprimands, she made up an imaginary assailant on roller skates wielding a metal bat. And once she was driven into a corner by the stress created by her job, she resorted to blaming this fabrication of her mind once more. But this time, other people started buying into her lie, and so it spread as a mind virus among the population, blaming it for their mistakes, as a way to shift their blame, a way to relieve their stress, giving the legend a physical form that goes around wrecking people like it's playing whack-a-mole. And at the height of all the paranoia, in which I assume where riots break out destroying most of the city, because something has to actually do this physical destruction, Sean in bed morphs into this giant tidal wave of black slime devouring the city, until Tsukiko finally owes up to admitting it's her fault, which magically fixes everything and destroys the entity haunting other people. Okay, I guess, but this is when my confusion about the whole thing kicks in. Because while it is a good representation to show what people emotionally go through, how does any of this correlate to the real world being affected? It makes sense if I write it down and explain everything that happens like this, but when watching it, it's just a confusing series of events spanning 3 episodes. For example, Ikari's wife is dying, but she speaks to him in some sort of dream dimension that he locked himself mentally into. But then he also manages to rescue Tsukiko from Shonen in bed while in this dimension. A Shonen in bed dad, who thanks to rumors transformed into a monster. But where are they all in the real world while all of the destruction in the city takes place? You can't tell me that they carry face into some different dimension through sheer power of will. A bit later they surfaced from the underground, so I assumed they were there, I guess. But then why did he ever end up there? When did Suki go? And how did his dying wife contact him in his dream world to begin with? Meanwhile, Manira jumps around to say that he has a superhero with a sword that's actually a bat, physically fighting the monstrous Shonen bat somehow. Has he suddenly gotten the power to fight other people's delusions? I don't know. And I think I shouldn't overthink some of these aspects too much, but I can't help it. I get some aspects that the story was going for, like how Shonen bat's story spreads far and wide, and he gradually turned into an all-powerful monstrosity because of the game of telephone-like nature of passing on information. But there is also a lot of esoteric messaging going on here that goes over my head sadly, and I wouldn't even know where to begin to decipher some of its deeper meanings. I'm a weep at the microphone. I do not have a bachelor's degree in what makes the human mind work, and I'm not going to pretend here that I'm smart enough to comprehend the themes it's trying to convey and tell you all about them. For everything I get and understand, there's 5 more things that go over my head. Did I enjoy this show? I guess I did. But I'm also going to have to quote something I said in the last 2 Backlog videos, and I don't like that I have to do that, but I enjoyed the first half and I just kinda wish it stayed what it was before devolving into a confusing mess. Something that seems to be a recurring theme in these Backlog videos so far. Art-wise it looks pretty solid, but I do feel a lot of sleazy male characters just look like toads, and there's a lot of them. The show itself even makes a joke in episode 5. But I also think a lot of the characters in this look kinda scummy. Even some of the kids do. The music is weird and trippy, and so are the opening and ending. The opening specifically is kinda unsettling because everyone is just laughing with a vacant look in their eyes. Now stop that. Stop looking and laughing at me, I don't like it. I know that this is one of those shows that is held in fairly high standards by people who would consider themselves anime critics and aficionados. And while I enjoyed my time, I don't know. I guess this is one of those shows that I'm going to have to think on for a long time to come and see how it sticks with me. And I apologize if this video is a bit half-baked as a result. I can only really give you my opinion after I've seen it, as it is the point of these videos. If you're here for a deep dive on all the symbolism and the meaning of the show, you'd be in the wrong place. I apologize for that if you were, and I feel morally inadequate to even begin to tackle the show in that kind of way. But I do thank you for watching this video if you did stick around this long, it's appreciated. And if you want to call me an imbecile for not grasping the more profound aspects of this show in the comments, you're more than welcome to. Go, fire off, have fun. As for me, I'm really going to have to find a dumb actions show or something like it for the next Backlog video, because so far I haven't been blown away by any show that I've watched for these. This was my name is Sora, confused and puzzled, raking my brain, and I hope to see you next time. And don't forget, if your dog gets hit by a car, don't start deluding yourself into thinking there's a mass murderer going around, because that's gonna cause problems.